Hello, everyone. This is the third and final episode of our Bigfoot Week extravaganza.
Ever.
And we're never going to talk about Bigfoot again.
Nope. Done.
I'm Andrew. He is John. And that means you are once again listening to Sasquatchers. We have a really cool guest lined up that we'll introduce after the introduction.
The truth is out there. Never stop looking. Never be sheep. Always disrupt. We are the ungovernable. We are the truth seekers. We are Sasquatchers.
You know what? That video blows my ears out every time we play it.
Yeah, it's kind of loud.
Anyway, we are here with Mike Familant. I don't know if Familant, if I'm
there.
It could have went worse. It definitely could have went worse. Familant, yes.
You shouldn't have tried. Why did you do that?
And you are what I think you are an incredible Bigfoot researcher from everything that I've found online. And I've been looking forward to this conversation because I think, your methods, at least from what I've seen posted, it's really cool. Can you give us a little introduction and kind of your history?
Sure. Yeah. No, I really appreciate that intro. Thank you very much. Yeah. So let's see. What do I do? I call myself a full-time Bigfoot researcher. I go around full-time like 8 months out of the year. And I go around to like different states and I pick an area in the state and I go speak at libraries during the day. And during the night, what I do is I camp at like national parks or national forests, state parks, whatever have you. And I look for Bigfoot and film my Bigfoot research show in the shadow of Big Red Eye, kind of during at the same time. So it's like a win-win. I get to tour the country, see some beautiful areas, look for Bigfoot, and make a living out of doing it. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I've been doing. And we have we did like 100 venues last year, 100 presentations last year, and we're online to do that again this year.
Yeah, that's really cool. We had a guest on a couple of weeks ago who does like a strikingly similar thing, but as a paranormal investigator and kind of like ghost hunting. And
right.
I just think that method of travel and how in depth you are with it, it's super cool. Like I find it really appealing. It's almost like I'm jealous. Like I wish I could, I see that and like that's an adventurer's life. And I think it's just solid that that you're doing it. How long have you been doing it for?
Full time. I started last year. I really appreciate that. It was a little rocky getting going, but I don't do anything like halfway type of thing. So it's like I did like 3 libraries like years ago, and then I got it in my head and I was like, man, I might be able to do this, like do it full time. And then I was talking to one of my good friends and they're like, well, why don't you just try it? So I booked like my first like tour last year, and I was like, oh man, I'm doing this, and made it a thing. Like I said, 100 venues last year. I tent camped 129 nights last year, which was awesome. But yeah, just good stuff all around, fun stuff. Met some really amazing people along the way as well, obviously.
Yeah, so I'm from Pennsylvania.
Nice.
He's from PA as well, but he migrated over to Ohio. And during the course of show prep and kind of learning about you and just doing the stuff that I do for Sasquatchers, I had come across like a local article written about you, and I was curious. Are you from where are you from? Because
was it in the police blotter? That's the first question.
I can't say that it was.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
It was actually the no-fly list.
That's why he's tenting everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm in the woods 90% of my life. Yes. No, I'm from northwestern New Jersey, kind of the armpit of Pennsylvania, New York. I like to describe it as.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. The article almost made you sound like super local. So I was like, man, is this dude from like Evansburg, PA? And he's
Yeah, I think I saw one that was on like the Clarion Times from Clarion PA too, and they did like the
yeah,
same thing where it sounded like they were like talking about you like you were some hometown hero.
yeah. People
Oh,
are taking
geez,
ownership
no.
of you here in
Yeah.
PA.
Wow. Interesting. You have to forward me those articles because I don't think I've seen them.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
just
Well,
random articles being written about you, no one's telling you.
It's not the first time it's happened either. So interesting.
yeah. So how did you get into Bigfoot?
Man, it's a good story. Do you want okay, so we have two options here. We got option A, quick 5 minute, or option B, kind of funny longer version.
I always go with the longer version, even if it's boring.
Okay, it's not boring. I'll make it not boring. Okay. So let's travel back to the way back yonder times of 2011. Okay. Here you have young Mike. I am living in Bradenton, Florida, and I'm working at a beach resort in Sarasota, Florida, which is like the best job that I've ever had in my entire life. Right. So watching Finding Bigfoot on TV. You guys have seen Finding Bigfoot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, they were like, hey, if you want to come out with us, you can come out and look for Bigfoot with the team. And I said, oh my God, there is no way that I am not doing this. I was not into Bigfoot. I was just watching it on TV. I had, in fact, never camped before in my life. So this was going to be my first like camping trip. But anyways, I signed up that night. I paid like the exorbitant amount of money. And I was engaged, did not tell my fiance what we were doing. All right. So this was going to be like a pre-wedding little surprise vacation type thing. So anyways, we like I said, first ever camping trip. So I had to acquire all this camping gear.
Uh-oh. I think we lost your audio. You're just having a strange out of nowhere.
I know what I did. Did I do something?
Yeah,
you bumped the
you're
mute
good now.
button?
Yeah, I bumped the mute button. It's a new mic. I don't know how to work it yet. It's brand new. I have no idea. Anyways, so I think where I was I was acquiring all this camping gear, like my tent and my sleeping bag and the headlamp and all that stuff that they require to go on this expedition. And my fiance, for some reason, decides to clean the apartment. I had put all this stuff in like this little closet we had in the little 1-bedroom apartment, and she had never cleaned ever before, but she decided to clean, and she found all this stuff. And she's like, Mike, what are we doing? And I said, hun, we are going to North Florida to look for Bigfoot, right? And then we broke up. So I moved up to Tampa. I got a job. I'm an EMT by trade. I got a job working on the ambulance for the city of Tampa. And I had 3 partners, and I had picked the weirdest partner. That's how I did it. And I said, Jimmy, I got these I found out these tickets are non-refundable. Go figure, after this whole breakup thing happened. But anyways, so little more kick in the balls, if you will. So anyways, but I was like, Jimmy, I got these tickets to go up to look for Bigfoot. Do you want to come with me? And he's like, and he's my best friend to this day. He said, oh my God, I've always wanted to do that. I said, perfect. Nice. So anyways, trip comes up. We go up, take the drive up to Torreya State Park in northern Florida. And we get there, and there's like 60 other people there. And I was like, how are we going to find Bigfoot with 60 people here? This is crazy. I thought it was going to be like 5, I don't know, whatever, like they do on the show. I didn't it was going to be this many people. So anyways, we camped. So here's everybody in one spot. We camped kind of farther away from them because we thought everybody was going to be weird. I mean,
Okay,
let's just,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, let's throwing it out
Yep.
there. Bigfoot
Yeah.
expedition, why not, right? So, anyways, nothing happens. We do it's 3 nights, 4 days of intense hiking, talking to Bigfoot witnesses, meeting researchers, other investigators, really cool stuff. But we didn't come across anything Squatch related, like nothing at all. We actually came across, I believe it was like a Florida panther track. And at the time it was really cool because there's only 25 of them left in the wild. So that was pretty neat. But nothing squatchy, right? So it was the last night, and Jimmy and I, we were up watching a meteor shower. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And we were just talking, watching a meteor shower, you know, whatever. And all of a sudden we hear a knock. And I said, okay, anything can knock on a tree, big deal. And then about 5 minutes later, bam, a knock from the complete opposite direction. So I immediately thought, and I told Jimmy this, I was like, oh, it's the guys that put on this expedition knocking on trees. Like, we didn't get any Bigfoot activity. You know, there's nothing that happened to us. So this is how they get people to come back every year. They hoax us, right? Now I know that organization would never do anything like that. I didn't realize that at the time, so brand new to this. But anyways, so didn't think twice about it. About 10 minutes goes by. We're still watching the meteor shower, and all of a sudden you hear come crashing through the trees. Plunk. Landed about 10 feet from us, a fist-sized rock, right?
okay.
So I was, at this point in my life, I was like, nope, absolutely not. This is how horror movies start. I am getting out of here, you know? And my buddy's like, he's like, well, if you want to sleep in the car, you're more than welcome. And by the time he said that, I had my tent and my sleeping bag, and I was just beelining it right
I
to
will
the
see
car.
you
I
in the
mean,
car.
yeah, yeah. So then he comes back to me and over to the car, and he's like, Mike, Bigfoot's knock on trees and they throw rocks. Like, this could be squatchy activity that's going on. So I'm like, yeah, I suppose you're right. So back by the campfire, we sat, and over the course of the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, 4 more of these fist-sized rocks come crashing down through the canopy, the pine canopy, and they land 5 to 10 feet away from us, right? So at number 5, the rock number 5 comes, and Jimmy, he's like, Mike, I got an idea. I'm going to throw a rock back at it. And I said, Jimmy, man, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, you know, we got 2 options. It's a person or a Bigfoot. Like, let's you know, let's be realistic here. So he takes the rock and he chucks it back in that general direction. And I knew it wasn't a person at that exact moment, because as soon as he chucked that rock, about 3 seconds later, a laptop-sized boulder comes crashing down through the canopy and lands 5 feet away from us.
Damn.
And that was it. That was our first encounter, and that's what got me. That 15 minutes changed the direction of my life literally forever. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool that you actually were able to get that on your first time out too.
The
And,
first time ever camping. I mean, talk about crazy.
yeah. So how do you go from, you know, it's your first time in the woods and now you're having these rocks thrown at you to, you know, deciding that someday you're going to end up living on the road and out in the woods in the wilderness with the creatures trying to research them?
Yeah, well, when I got out of EMT work, it was kind of like I didn't want to really work for anybody. Kind of was tired of that. So I was like, I'm just going to do my own thing and see if it works. And so far, so good.
Yeah, I think that's the dream.
Yeah. Till people find out you were on this podcast.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We killed your career. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh
sorry.
no, it was
All right, well,
it was
hey,
short lived.
hey,
I mean, it was good while it
thanks for
lasted.
talking to us.
Yeah, no, it was great, guys. All right, have a good now.
We angered a bunch of people in the Bigfoot community not too long ago with a guest of ours who was nothing but professional and polite. You may know him, Tom Seawood.
Oh,
He's
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and there were some people in a Facebook group that took uh,
Personal offense.
extreme personal offense to it. And for a while there, they were doxing our show, and
Oh boy.
we were getting shadow banned and everything. It died down.
Isn't it just crazy how how like the Bigfoot community works? Like I've been
wild.
told before by high up people, like, don't be on podcasts that don't have so many downloads or have so many episodes and stuff like that. It's like, how do you start off? And it's like Tom's a very well-known person, so like you would obviously want to have somebody well-known in the Bigfoot community on your podcast. I don't see why that would be a bad thing. I mean, I had a guy on my show. I do this like, so I have in the shadow of Big Red Eye, which is my show, and then I do like kind of like a docu-series of Bigfoot campfire stories. And not too long ago, it made a pretty big stir around in the comments of the YouTube video that I had a guy up in Maine that I interviewed that saw a 20-foot tall Sasquatch. Now we all know that that's a little you know, unless you're on the woo side of things, it's a little kind of
We'll get there.
outside
We'll
the
get to the
norm.
woo.
Okay, I figured we might take that path at one point during this conversation, but unless you go down that path, I don't think that that's a biological creature that you're having. So that kind of, it goes against my beliefs that it is like a biological type creature.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
yeah,
sorry, Joe.
I mean,
Go ahead.
we entertain ideas. It doesn't necessarily mean
Yeah.
that we, promote them, or I guess
Yeah.
technically we're promoting them because we have them on our podcast. But that doesn't mean that's what we're neutral is the thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, that's kind of.
I got banned from the Facebook group. Now, in their defense, I did take the group owner's picture and put tears under his eyes and post it in response to something he said. But
You couldn't just do the crying, the emoji. That was
well, I did it. I
did
did
it
it.
in 5 minutes.
I did it in Paint.
Oh.
If that makes a difference.
Really,
Not Photoshop. Let's not go there. Let's just do it in Paint real quick.
It was Paint.
Yeah. So yeah, but man, that's one thing that really shocked me when I started this show was, just how divided the Bigfoot community can be. And man, the lines in the sand are pretty hard lines. And as somebody that grew up with, Coast to Coast and listening to Art Bell and everything, like, I know Art was at times most likely a shyster and a grifter, and it was always about entertainment first. But the one thing that I learned from him was to, give everybody the opportunity to tell their side of their story or their argument, and kind of let the audience decide for themselves, about opinions on the matter. And so, man, yeah,
that's
shocked.
one of the things about doing this tour, the tours that I've done, and meeting so many witnesses along the journeys and paths that I've been able to take throughout this journey. And that's the one thing that I've come to realize is that everybody has a story, and I think it's so imperative that everybody has a means to express and share that story. Everybody should be heard, and especially in the paranormal or Bigfoot world or something, that just the mysterious stuff. If you've had an encounter or whatever, you should be able to share that and not have any ridicule or anything like that. And it's unfortunate, whether it's paranormal Bigfoot or woo Bigfoot or biological Bigfoot, whatever it is, you should be able to share that without having any sort of ridicule in the field. And that's kind of the way I do my show. Is it's not really about Bigfooting. It's not about looking for Bigfoot and finding Bigfoot. It's more about getting outside into nature more. I think that's how I view Bigfooting anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely something that I think you know, I don't know. The older I get, I don't know if it's an age thing, that I find very appealing too. You know, I got really into hiking last year, and you know, this year, thanks to this show, we've been able to start filming and branching out into the other media platforms as well. I today just finished a documentary that we set out in early January, and we just went out into the hillside of Ohio
Nice.
and filmed for an entire day.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations. That's great, man.
yeah, thank you. And today just finished it, and now I'm just giddy. I'm like, okay, so
It
the
feels
next one
good, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
the next one we have going is in June, and I'm just counting down till June, and I don't even have this one online yet, but
Yeah.
just getting out there is definitely part of the appeal and part of the fun, and especially if you have friends or whatever that share that interest. I have a couple of guys that are really looking forward to our June excursion. Now, the one that we just did was not Bigfoot related, but the next
Mhm.
one will be Bigfoot related, and that's going to
Cool.
be all of our first Bigfoot excursion. So you got to do yours in 2011. We're going to do ours in
Yeah.
2024, and
Oh,
uh,
man.
I'm pretty excited.
You don't have to tell me but in Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
Oh, cool. That's exciting. That's good for you guys. See, and that's what I love about bigfooting is having people just is getting out, like I said, getting out into nature. Like I can now like rub two sticks together and start fire. Like you'd ask me before, like circa 2010, if I could do that, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. You are insane. And now, like, I'm like into fishing. Like, I have like a John boat. I thought that was like the most boring thing before I got into the whole outdoor thing, hiking, backpacking, camping. I mean, just everything outside. I'm now outside more than I am inside, and that's something that I never thought I could say before in my entire life. So it's like I said, bigfooting has not just changed my life because now I look for Bigfoot. It's every aspect of my life has changed because of it, and it's changed for the better. And that's what I hope to share with everybody, and why I do my library tours is try to get that message out there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a healthier living too, not
It
sitting
is.
at home
It's
on an Xbox all day,
yeah.
Hey.
No offense to JC up there. But about your tours and kind of about, that divisiveness, I'm curious if while you are out on tour doing your speaking, if you're ever faced with that, or is that kind of just something that people do online, like all of the other trolls and every other department? That's one thing I've been curious, because while I have spoken to, Bigfoot experts in the field, I haven't really spoken to people that, I don't know, speak as much as you do, I guess. So
Yeah.
you would kind of be the guy.
So everybody, I've done a lot of presentations, and I've gotten a couple of different like 3 or 4 different people have come up to me after the show and have like said words to me, and we're like, hey, you shouldn't say this, it's kind of offensive, or you shouldn't do this because or you should change this slide or something like that. But there was one guy, I think I was in Safety Harbor in Florida, but and it was one of my first presentations during like last year, so I didn't really know how to react to it yet. But at the end of every presentation, I field everybody's question. I don't leave anybody out, right? So the guy comes in like 15 minutes late to my presentation. He's texting through the whole thing. He's sitting right in the front seat, and that annoys me anyway. And then he raises his hand, like, first question. So I call on him. He's really enthusiastic, and he turns around and he's like, do you guys actually believe all this crap? And everybody in the room just like audibly gasped, because and the room was silent for a little bit, and everybody's kind of like, yeah, we got to do. And I was like, I should have said, I kind of, since I was so new, I should have been like, well, if you came in early enough, you would have maybe understood the presentation a little bit better, but I didn't. I kind of fumbled, and I was like, well, if you don't believe, Yeah, each person, you know, has their own
But
belief.
why?
Or
But why
whatever.
go to an event
Yeah.
like that?
That's
See,
just
the thing is,
Because you got
excellent.
nothing better to do, I
I
guess. I
know
don't know.
I know people though that are like that. Like
Yeah.
personally, I know people that would do stuff like that. Like they would just go just to make that one comment.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like they feel like they defeated the whole Bigfoot world. Like, I did it, guys. Bigfoot defeated.
You know now what I say to those people, and I usually leave this for my presentations, but I'll give you a little kicker to the end of my presentation, especially if somebody has that comment. I say, hey, life, just saying, life with the possibility of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness monster is far superior to one without. Have a good night.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely. And
You can use that.
That's absolute truth too.
I've already got t-shirts made.
Mike
Yeah.
Familant, Mike Scott.
So with all the traveling that you do, I said but
Come on. That's me. You're not supposed to do that stuff.
I don't know, man. I'm trying to impress Mike. I got to be the funny guy tonight, I think. I don't ever hit hardball questions, and I'm far from Barbara Walters, but I do try to like throw some curveballs in once in a while. And so, what area have you been, least impressed by? Like, we can talk about, the most impressive in a second, but I'm always curious to see like what your biggest disappointment on an excursion may have been versus, like the best result
coming on this podcast
prior to tonight.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think like I just saw a question. It was kind of roaming around the Facebook Bigfoot community. Like, what's your biggest pet peeve in cryptozoology? Right, that's a good question. Kind of the same thing. My thing is like red circles. If you got to circle it, it's probably not there. I don't like that type of thing. If you got my other thing, this kind of goes along with the same thing. If you got to zoom in and you got it like, so it's like 4 pixels on a page, and then you can't see anything with that. Like, it doesn't do any good to not even the scientific community. We're not even going to say that the S word. We're just going to say the Bigfoot in general community, because that's not evidence, people. It's just not. It's if we want to prove that this thing exists, which I think that most people in the Bigfooting community want to do, whether you believe in paranormal Bigfoot, skeptical, or woo Bigfoot, or biological Bigfoot, I think everybody kind of feels the same way, that they want to try to find this creature. So let's all try to work together instead of like we said before, button heads, to try to figure this thing out, right? I mean, that's the way things should work. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Can I put out like a petition to get it changed from Bigfoot community to like the Bigfoot industrial complex?
It
just sounds cooler, right?
It's kind of apt to it as well. Like, it makes sense. But yeah, I agree, and I focus a lot on this stuff, now, whereas 4 or 5 months ago, I may not have. We started this show in September, so
it took 4 or 5 months to do an episode on Bigfoot. Funny enough.
Hey,
not quite
that's
that
awesome,
long.
guys. Yeah.
But yeah, no, just the amount of evidence, and I'll use quotation marks there, that people tend to put online. I was just, like I said, we talked to Dr. Meldrum yesterday, and I had mentioned the sheer amount of footprints that you see posted, even just on Facebook groups alone or TikTok, it's astronomical how many people post those. And he kind of was diplomatic about it and said that a lot of this stuff actually isn't hoaxing, but it's misidentification. And I can take that opinion, but just when I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, how are all of these people just so lucky to stumble upon all of these prints everywhere they go? And you know, they might not be red circles, but for me, I think
Yeah.
footprints are the hardest thing
Gotcha.
to digest that I don't see with my own two eyes.
Mhm. A lot of what's cool. So I have a footprint that I found. I agree with Dr. Meldrum. I believe that a majority of Bigfoot footprints that are posted are definitely like humans, bear, and it's and I think uh, a lot of sightings are misidentifications as well. I don't think there are a lot of hoaxes. I don't think people are out in the woods actively hoaxing people. Looking like there's not a lot of people running around in Bigfoot costumes. I don't think trying to hoax people. I'm sure there is, but I don't think. Yeah, yeah. But anyways, we got a footprint from High Point State Park in New Jersey, Northwest New Jersey, in the snow back in 2014, I think it was, or 2016 sometime. And anyway, it was pretty big. It wasn't huge. It was 15.5 inches. And it's clearly, it's like there's like a dusting of snow on the ground, so it's not castable, but it clearly resembles a human footprint, but just bigger. And because of we took dimensions of the track, a lot of people would say it's a bear, because when you have a bear double steps like his back foot or land in its front foot and make it look extremely human like. Like if that was like a bear, because of the dimensions that we took, it would have been like a New Jersey record size black bear, which is like 800 pounds plus an additional 200 pounds. So that footprint that we found, if it was a bear, it would have been a New Jersey record size by 1,000-pound record size black bear in New Jersey. Is that possible? It's plausible. Or it was a Bigfoot, you know, I don't know. We found it was a trackway, so it's interesting. I wish I could throw the picture up right now, but
yeah, no, I mean that's to me, I think that's just so much more different than a lot of the ones that at least that I see. And I'm in, you know, over my head at this point with these Facebook groups and social medias and Twitter, and this has consumed me, and it's been very fun, but you know, I find myself almost, you know, yelling at the MacBook at times when I start seeing stuff, and I'm like, come on, man, do we not have enough of the buffoonery in the field without, you know, more people?
Did you have to name drop the MacBook so everybody knew you had one, or you could just say computer?
you guys have sponsors? MacBook sponsoring you? Jeez.
Hopefully,
get on
that's
board
what I'm
with
trying
that.
to get at. You know, I also am rocking the new iPhone, and but yeah, man. So I don't know. For me, that's kind of where, you know, if we're talking pet peeves, prints are mine, but I'm also speaking from the perspective of somebody who's never come across one. So maybe I'm just even sore and jealous over it, you know. But that'll all change here in June.
Yeah, I think the back to the pixelated photos, those drive me nuts, because like you have all these people looking at this photo with the pixelated, and then there's still a red circle on it, like looking at this one pixel, and everyone's commenting, "Oh, I see it. Oh, I see it.
I see the eyes." Yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Where? I don't. I see black and like a little bit of a lighter black. Like what? I don't. I literally. Literally somebody took a picture with a camera like against their table and just posted it.
And no. You know, here's what I've come that they define that they do is that these pictures are from videos that they take with their cell phones, or sometimes, I guess this is what I've been told, people take it with their cell phones and they're just holding their cell phones and they're moving it around. Not everybody has, you know, a nice new iPhone 11, but I have the Galaxy.
We're like 16.
Yeah, I have the Galaxy S23, brand new phone. If anybody Galaxy, if Android's listening,
Samsung,
but yeah, Samsung. Shout out. No. But and then what they do is they just take screenshots of the video. It's like, I want to see the video. Like, give me the original, the OG footage. Let me determine what I see. Don't show me what I'm supposed to see.
Well, if you see the whole footage, you're not going to see anything.
Well, and that's what I think people that have that see these objects or see these faces in these pixelated photos, you know, it's pareidolia. It's you're trying to see something that's not there, and as much as you want to, you have to. I mean, I did this it was kind of like a blind little study where I took a picture of a tree break in my backyard. It's obvious. I mean, snow load did it. It was a dead tree. It was like it had every indicator that it was not Bigfoot. I don't have Bigfoot on my property. I'm not one of those people that say I do. I don't have a clan. I don't have friends. I don't speak to them. But what I do have is a phone, and I took the picture and I posted it on a couple Bigfoot websites. I said, do you think this is a tree break? And everybody's like, oh my God, that's the best tree break I've ever seen. And I'm like, no, it's not guys, it's not a tree break. Like another thing I did years ago, my friend took a picture. He's a photographer out in Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania, actually. He took a picture of a wonderful bobcat crossing a road in one of the state forests, and really cool picture. Looked to be photoshopped as shit. I mean, like big time photoshopped. And I posted it up there. I said, answer these questions. What is it? Was it photoshopped? And something else. Is it real or not? Those were the three questions I believe it was. So it's like, it's crazy. Like, I think it was 11% of the people didn't realize this was a bobcat. Like we can't, first of all, we can't identify known animals. That's a problem to start with. So we need to get on board with identifying animals that we know first before we can get into identifying animals we don't know. And then a bunch of people said it was Photoshop, but this thing wasn't Photoshop. So it's like, you know, I took that as like everybody seems to know about, you know, be like judge and jury of these photos, but we don't have any clear way to determine if these things are actual Bigfoots or hoaxes or misidentifications or anything like that. Besides the, you know, professionals or experts that you have in said diagnose or not said divisions of the Bigfoot field, whether it be footprints or audio or, you know, or you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's like this photo going around that's from the Patterson Gimli film, and it's a still that somebody used AI to fill in to make it like more visible. And you can clearly tell that somebody messed with the face and stuff like that. I have seen it everywhere,
yeah,
on
it's
every
everywhere
social
now.
media,
I
and
know exactly
everybody's
what
like,
you're talking about.
oh my god, look at this is so great. No video, they didn't do the whole video, it's one shot. Do you remember when we were young, we take those pictures with the dots and you'd hold them really close to your face, and it would like, and like when you stop looking after like a minute, you'd see like the leftovers. I feel like that's what like the paranormal community does with a lot of stuff. Like you just stare at it and you just look at everybody else and you kind of gaslight yourself into thinking that you see something, and then that's it. You know, you're just tricked into believing whatever because everybody else is saying it, and that's done. But that was my rant.
That
Yeah,
was your
that
PG rant for the day.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I won't even correct you that you said Gimli, like the Lord of the Rings, and not Gimlin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gimlin.
This is an amateur hour.
Lost in my book.
We don't usually talk about Bigfoot. Despite our name,
I was gonna say.
I was saving all of the good Bigfoot guests for, you know, January. That's just, it was a wait and see kind of thing. So
we should have kept waiting.
Ouch.
My next question has to be prefaced with just a quick anecdote because it's the reason I ask. So we are, like I said, we're hosting a little excursion in June, and I hesitate to call him a guide, but he's the one that's been out there before, and he's coming out with us and has been super supportive. So the guy who's coming out with us, his Facebook group that he runs had a park ranger post, and he's like, hey, first of all, you know, I don't believe in any of this Bigfoot stuff, but I figured I'd share this with you. I saw some people in a truck outside of the forest, and they looked suspicious. So I stopped them, and they said that they were out there Bigfooting, and I was curious about that, and so I questioned further, and come to find that they're out there hoaxing, and that they showed him all of their equipment and the things that they use for footprints. And he said that they told him that they get online, they go to Facebook groups, they look for people who are out there, and then go out days before they're going to be there, and they leave the false evidence, and then they'll go out the day of and prance around. So I'm curious, since that is happening here in my little corner of Pennsylvania, if in your travels, if you have ever encountered anything like that.
Yeah. So one time, one time I did. I don't tell anybody where I go. That's the first thing. That's a safety thing for me. Because I have like some like fangirls, I guess, if you will, that kind of like me. So I try not to tell everybody where I'm going to be, although it's not difficult to know if you know my tour schedule to figure out where I'm going to be. But anyways, not the point. Point is, I did tell somebody where I was camping one time. I got this is actually in Northwest New Jersey, up by me. I had somebody, one of my friends actually had an encounter, a sighting of a Bigfoot jump out of a tree. Very interesting. I thought it was cool, so I went up, camped on his property. And anyways, a day later, I was still camping on his property. We went out for a night hike to try to do stuff. I got hit by a rock, and we had rocks thrown at us, and I actually got hit by one. And I thought it was Bigfoot. It was crazy. Best evidence. I'm going all crazy. And all of a sudden I get back, and I'm doing like the whatchamacallits, the going over my audio and the trail cams and stuff. And I always leave a voice recorder going at camp. At camp, somebody was at our camp throwing rocks from us, one of his friends, trying to hoax us. So and I found that out. The only way I found that out was because I did have that trail camera going, and I heard him like talking on the phone with this guy, like, okay, do it now, we're down here type thing. Anyways, that's why I don't tell anybody really where we're going. Now, the chances that somebody is going to hoax, you know what I mean, is I think very few and far between. I mean, if you're a researcher, you know what to look for in the woods. At least you should know what to look for in the woods. You should know indicating factors of what a Sasquatch footprint looks like. So you know that look for the toe splay. Don't look for like a stamp pattern. Look for a mid-tarsal break. You talked to Meldrum, I'm sure he went over some of that stuff. So look for those indicating factors. Not every break is a tree break type of thing. And even if you do get like a howl in the woods or something like that, that's cool. You can have that analyzed by people. Like we got another vocalization from High Point State Park that I had sent away to a linguist from the military that does Bigfoot research, because I don't know what yells at the night. You know what I mean? I want to be legit about this whole research thing. So I sent it away to a linguist from the military. And he came back and said, because of X, Y, and Z, it's outside of human vocal range, and it's outside of human vocal range, or it's no known animal and outside of human vocal range. So I just read that private chat, and that's hilarious. I don't know if you want to say that, but that is yes.
Yeah, so you'd mentioned, I'm gonna say it.
We coined that phrase the other day.
Yeah, cancel me, bring it, let's go. Yeah, so for all the fans and anybody not fans or anyone listening, we call paranormal fangirls the parapossums.
Yeah, it's something that we came up with the other day, because
it was like in pro wrestling they're called ring rats, right? So we took that and just kind of ran with it.
I dipped my toes in the pro wrestling world there for a little bit before I got into researching the paranormal.
Okay.
I've always wanted to do this. Like, I can remember being in middle school and seeing a documentary about the Loch Ness Monster, and you threw the Loch Ness Monster out there a little while ago when you were talking about the world is a better place with these things. And I just remember, I couldn't have been more than, 13 or 14 at the time. And I look over at my cousin who's watching it with me, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to do that someday. Like, that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
do with my life. And, here I am. And it took all of these years. I'm now in mid 30s, but it's just insane how awesome it feels to kind of chase that dream. And right after
Yeah.
that, another big thing for me was the Beast of Bray Road. I got super into the Beast of Bray Road right at the kind of the height of its popularity there in the early 2000s. And, um, I've talked to a lot of people about the current Dogman situation, and
Mhm.
there's some really compelling stories there, and a lot of them intertwine with Bigfoot now. And that wasn't really something that I had ever heard until very recently. So we always talk about the woo a little bit, and you're definitely a more of a biological Bigfoot guy. So I just want
BB.
to go ahead and get your take on the
Listening
woo.
too much to that Meldrum propaganda.
uh, so what were you saying?
Oh, let's
Get
just
my
we'll get we'll get into the
get
woo
my
here.
viewpoint. Get my
Um,
viewpoint on
yeah,
like Dogman.
like well, I mean, there's a lot of crossover now, and
Yeah.
I have my opinions about it, but I was just curious, what your thoughts were, from your research standpoint. And
So so I'm very like I like the whole scientific thing. I think that's cool. But like science class was my favorite in high school type thing. But what I find interesting is I spend and I spend a lot of time in the woods. Like I said, 129 nights last year. That's a lot of time. That's I'm keeping actually track of how far I hiked this year, which so far it's been crazy. But anyways, I have never once, 2 times in my life, let me never once, twice. Twice I could say that I've come across something that I can't explain in the woods, and it not be Bigfoot related. One was just a blue orb that I saw hanging out, chilling, not like in the sky, totally not a star, totally in the woods, chilling, kind of hanging, floating around a little bit. Lasted about 5 minutes before it went off. Could have been swamp gas. I know that's what everybody says. Here comes the whole swamp gas thing. I don't know. But then the other thing was totally a UFO. I don't talk about it too often, but red zigzagging light going across across the sky. 6 of us saw it, and you know, it was. And here's the thing: it was right before we got that one of those that best Bigfoot vocalization in High Point, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, how come you can't correlate the two? You just saw a UFO and now you hear a Bigfoot vocalization getting into the Bigfoot UFO correlation. How is that not the same thing? How is that not the same? And I say it's not close enough. It was maybe like 2 minutes apart. Maybe that'd be a different story. I've never seen big dog tracks. I've never heard dog things. I've never had any dog men come look at me or try to attack me or anything like that. I am going to Land Between the Lakes this year, so
oh,
hopefully
cool,
that will
cool.
change.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I know the dog men out there, from what I hear, are pretty intensive. So I'd like to.
I can't wait to get
change my
attacked
mind
by
on
the
that.
dog men.
I know. Well, no, and here's my thing: is I would challenge anybody to change my mind. Show me your evidence that Bigfoot is interdimensional, and like I would love to see it. I would love for you to try to convince me, but nobody has ever given me a piece of evidence that's actual evidence to point me in that direction. So until I can
Right.
see something for myself, I'm going to go by the evidence that I've found, the footprints, the audio, short of everything that I've captured, short of seeing one and getting like a hand or a foot, a glob of hair. I can't say that one of these things doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah. When I started this show, I had literally gotten into an argument about this very topic where somebody was, talking about portals and stuff. And I like almost lost my mind like a Karen about it, and was like, "How? That's insane! Why would?" And it just went off. And it's funny, just based on conversations that I've had, I've opened up to it. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not like sold or like, oh man, Bigfoot comes out of portals. But the more I hear about him, I'm not caring about it anymore. Like, it's intriguing enough that you have my attention if we
Well,
can,
here's
get some
here's
evidence.
here's my thing, right? And this is from my good buddy Justin Decker. I kind of took this from him, but if you back in the day when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have anything back in like the 20s when we were still like exploring, say like the Amazon, right? And we're down the Amazon and we come across this creature that is like an eel, but we get close to it and it zaps the shit out of us. And we have no idea why. And it's not until years and years and years down the road until science comes in with all this technology that can explain that the electric eel is just this creature that produces electricity. And that's why it zaps you. It's not this magical creature type thing. That science explained this creature. It's that we had no idea how this creature worked. It's not far-fetched. It's not out of the possibility to say that we don't know just how Bigfoot works yet. And I'm open to that possibility.
Can you imagine those guys finding an electric eel? Like we have eels in North America and Europe, and they don't shock you. These guys probably shit their pants.
Literally, they probably
they did.
Probably, yeah.
Right. That's a super fair point too. I've heard that for the cloaking, that we have there are lizards that can cloak and other creatures that have their form of cloaking. So is it possible that Bigfoot is cloaking not as a superpower, but maybe Bigfoot can cloak as a camouflage mechanism? And so what you just said, I find incredibly interesting as a pretty, scientific way to look at the zaps that are now kind of being spoken about in the Bigfoot community, which again, before I started doing this, I had never really heard of. I didn't know anything about the zaps or the what is the infrasound and mind speak. That's kind of all very popularized now with I hate to call them stories, but recounting of experiences. So
hey, I'll tell you, I got zapped once. I'll be straight up. And it was and again, I'm biological, right? So I think Bigfoot probably has the capabilities to infrasound and kind of shoot infrasound at things that they want to eat and stun, kind of like we know other predators do this, lions do this. We know gorillas and primates have this capability as well. So it's not outside of the realm to think that Bigfoot could have this capability. It's not like we're saying Bigfoot can ride a rocket and do backflips here. It's like, okay, this thing could be legit. So anyways, I was walking down in Marlon Dickinson Reservation. It's a county park in Morris County, New Jersey, and there's been 3 sightings there. And I've hiked this trail a bunch. You do it like eyes closed, backwards, daytime, nighttime. And the thing to know about me too is like I'm fairly comfortable in the woods. I never used to be. I used to be scared. I used to not like being in the woods by myself. I actually enjoy it now. I actually take peace, especially at night, being in the woods by myself. I enjoy it. I find it very relaxing. But anyway, so I was doing this night hike solo, got dropped off at the trailhead, was going to get picked up at the total opposite thing. It's a 3-mile hike, got about half mile into it, maybe not even a half mile into it. And all of a sudden, it felt like I hit a brick wall. Couldn't go any further. And I was like, uh-oh. I felt this like overwhelming sense of dread come like throughout my body. And I was like, man, something does not want me here right now. Like something is telling me to get out of this area. So I called my friend and I said, hey, you got to come back and get me at the trailhead. He's like, what, are you kidding? I'm like, no, something's happening. I got to get out of here. The coolest thing, it's all recorded and on my YouTube channel. So if you want to see what a zapping actually kind of feels like and looks like, I describe it as it's happening in person, head over to the YouTube channel, type in, I think it's infrasound or zapping or something like that.
Oh, awesome. I'm definitely going to check that out because I have found that to be one of the more interesting aspects of the research that I've come across. And that's cool to have it validated by a researcher like yourself too.
It's just interesting. I don't know what it I don't know what it is, and I don't know if anybody really does know what it is, especially in the Bigfoot kind of world, but it's something that's been reported before by multiple people. And you know, I always thought it was kind of like a little out there too until I experienced it.
Yeah. Sorry, John. I kind of stepped on your toe there. You were going to say something.
It wouldn't have added anything to the conversation.
Another bad joke.
I was thinking about when we were out recording in the cemetery. You'd mentioned about like that ominous feeling and stuff, and like we were cool when we got there and we were driving around, but as soon as we started getting closer to the grave we were looking for, like both you and I were like, something's not cool here. Like feels like we shouldn't be here. Yeah,
that was kind of a feeling that we had all day. So just real quick, we went, so he lives in Ohio, and so I met him there, and we went to Kirtland, and Kirtland is kind of known for a whole bunch of these like really awful things, and it's labeled the Kirtland curse. And it started with Joseph Smith, who started the Mormon church there, and they chased him out, and they supposedly put a curse on the town for doing it. And then like there's cult murders and so the Melonheads, which is kind of a cryptid urban legend situation over there, where these children, orphans, were experimented on by this guy. His name was Dr. Etienne Crow. And so people, they don't really adhere to it because it's become such an urban legend, to the point where his existence has been called into question. And a lot of the people that even still talk about this just almost use him as, as fantasy. Like this guy was never real. And so what we did was we found where he's buried, and that's kind of where our research started that day. And, from there we went out in the woods and we tried to find melonheads and whatnot, but I'm digressing so far away from Bigfoot. But he's right. The second that we got out of his car, there was just this overwhelming kind of sense of dread that hit us. And neither of us told each other about it right away. And I still, when I was editing, I got chills because of just how unwanted I felt when we were doing that. And
I also got yelled at for parking in the grass.
Oh, well, you can't do that.
Apparently, you can't park in the grass in a cemetery. Nobody told me
that. I mean, come on. That's like number that goes up with you can't ride on the golf cart green with a golf cart. You know what I mean? That's you can't park on the grass in the cemetery.
Turns out it's
graves.
I'll tell you,
guards at Lakeview Cemetery have infrasound as well.
I did a paranormal investigation one time in my life. That's also on my YouTube channel, and never been as. I mean, I've been pretty scared of the woods, but that horrified. I'm not cool with ghosts. Like I will chase down an 8-foot tall bipedal Bigfoot any day of the week. You give me something that you can't see. Absolutely not. Nope. You know what's interesting is I think it's like I don't know if I was doing no I haven't. I was doing like some whatchamacallit, some for my presentation, some numbers for my presentation, and it's something like 44% of people believe in ghosts and the paranormal, or 44% of people believe in that they have been within the presence of a ghost or a paranormal spirit, and it's like 22% of people believe that a bipedal large primate could be walking around the woods. I think that's crazy. I think
It is.
that's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Because
But
one of them's a
no,
biological creature, and the other one's something invisible. Well, maybe invisible that you can't see, right?
yeah, I think that's
yeah,
kind of funny.
I'm
no,
actually
and-
surprised the numbers are that low for the ghosts, to be honest with you, because it seems like everyone you talk to is like, oh yeah, I know a ghost. I have a ghost
Yeah,
in my basement. Oh yeah. That's the bathroom ghost. Yeah.
every house everybody grew up in is haunted.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I had one of my friends last night was ghost hunting in her house and had activity. This is like a brand new house. She just moved there. But hey,
Oops.
hey, as long as you're out doing stuff that you're passionate about, that's all that matters. And that's another thing that I want to say. Some people like you guys may have never been into Bigfooting and never have gone out looking for Bigfoot before, which is totally cool. I would highly suggest you do. But Bigfooting is inherently a little scary. I mean, you go out night hiking and stuff like that. It's not meant for everybody. My challenge to anybody listening would be like, take that waterfall hike that you've been putting off taking for the last 3 years or whatever. Start small, find something that you like, find something that you're passionate about. You guys are obviously passionate about like podcasting and Bigfoot and paranormal stuff, being in the woods, and it's blatantly obvious because you guys have an awesome podcast. You know, and it's the same thing with anybody else though. Like, I got into fishing. If you're into, you know, fishing, take that, you know, learn how to fish and learn how to do it right and accurately. And if you're into Bigfooting, learn how to really get into Bigfooting and learn the ins and outs and how to do it correctly. And that was just my challenge to anybody, you know, take that little extra time out of your day and get off the couch and into nature a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not going to have a negative experience doing that. Whether
Well, you could get lost, you could get eaten by a bear.
You get killed.
I got poison ivy when I was in Florida. I mean, that's a bad thing.
I'm not
too.
allergic to poison ivy or oak, so I'm good.
You should see him take down bears too. That's all he does in his free time. So.
Yep, that's it.
But, you know, we're hitting that hour mark, and we always
Are you volunteering to come to our Sasquatchers outing? Is that what I am hearing?
Oh, I think you did.
You're going to be there, right, Mike?
I think I'm already supposed to be there.
Oh,
I don't know.
Awkward.
Yeah, I don't know if that was. I have to double check that information. Did he freeze? I can't tell if he froze or.
No, what? Which outing?
Oh, are you for real coming to the one in June? Do you know Doug?
We're only like best friends.
Oh, awesome! Because he did mention to me that you might be coming, but he wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm waiting on one event to confirm with me if they're doing it or not. But if I can be there, I will for sure.
That's
Cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from Doug in a while. I was actually thinking that I should get a hold of him because for a while we were like having phone conversations, and I don't even do that with people I'm related to anymore.
Yeah. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but I did his Bigfoot campfire story came out like 2 weeks ago, so you could check that out on my YouTube as well, see what got him into Bigfooting. It's really cool. He has a really awesome story, him and Bill's story as well.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard Bill's yet, but we had Doug. Doug's been on this show. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we hit that hour mark, and you know, I'm okay letting you go and enjoying the rest of your evening. I thought this was a pretty fun and compelling show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I didn't even realize it was like an hour into it already.
It went by so fast.
Yeah,
I feel like I took up so much time talking.
I hate when that happens, when he talks, not when the hour goes by fast.
Yeah. Look, everybody else on the podcast does too. They literally just watch to come and downvote me.
Right. So do you have any other links or anything that you want to share with anybody? We do have a predominantly audio fan base, so share your Shadow of Red Eye link as well, because you know, honestly, a lot of people aren't going to see that.
Yeah, okay. So my website is shadowofredeye.com. That's my you can get everything from there, where I'm going to be, my upcoming appearances, my tour schedule. I'm also like, I sometimes hire people. So if you're a photographer and want to come out on a Bigfoot expedition, let me know, because I'm looking for a photographer. but yeah, my YouTube is Shadow of Red Eye, at Shadow of Red Eye, or Sussex County Bigfoot. You can search either of them and I'll come up. I think by the time, when is this going to come out? Any idea?
It should be, around next Tuesday. We ended up getting a little
Okay.
behind because of
Well,
the
if that's the
holidays.
case, then let's all celebrate that I just hit 3,000 subscribers. Woo!
Nice. Wow. There
Yay!
you go.
So
Awesome.
if you want to go subscribe and add to that number, I'd super appreciate it. We're like and everybody, you guys know, you can make money on YouTube. Some people don't realize, like, if you don't if people don't subscribe, you could lose out on money. So it's like, just subscribe. It only takes a second, doesn't take anything. But our Facebook, we're into social media pretty big. In the Shadow of Big Red Eye is our Facebook, and our Instagram is Shadow of Red Eye. I have an awesome manager, Jill, that does that. She does all the behind the scenes stuff, all the behind the scenes photos from our trips and adventures. So have to go ahead and follow us on Instagram. Keep in mind, if you're trying to slide into my DMs, I don't monitor that account.
Damn
So
it!
all of you parapossums out there, you better take notice.
Let's use the new word that we learned today, ladies and gentlemen.
And
we need to make merch that says official parapossum.
I'm on it as soon as we wrap this up.
He's gonna do it too.
So I want to thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure and an awesome conversation, super fun. Everybody should definitely check out his link and, check the show out on YouTube. And don't just subscribe, but sit through all of the ads and stuff too. Yeah,
I got there's 250 or something episodes over there. So you got plenty of content. If you guys are just, bored one day, some of the old stuff is kind of old and outdated, had old cameras and stuff like that. Some of the newer stuff is actually kind of decent, if I do say so myself. It actually, you'll see me see some bloopers and stuff over there on the YouTube channel, but most importantly, like I said, the whole underlying message is to get people out there into the woods. Again, thank you guys so much for having me. I had a blast, and we'll have to do it again sometime. And best case scenario or worst case scenario, depending how you look at it, I'll see you in June.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. I'm very much looking forward to it. And we'll go ahead. We'll hit the outro button, and you stick around for just 1 second so we can make sure that your internet is as fantastic as you are.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for squatching, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Squatch you later.